Hey guys, tonight we're talking about the ultimate divine do not touch sign. Picture this. You're in a vast, quiet desert. The sun has just set, and in the middle of a massive camp, there's a tent. A very special tent. Inside that tent, behind a thick, heavy veil, is something that glows, something terrifying and beautiful, something that holds the very presence of the creator of the universe. It's a golden box, the Ark of the Covenant. And let's be blunt, if you or I, in our current state, just waltzed up and peeked under the lid, we probably wouldn't survive this. Not even close. We'd be a pile of smoking ash before our brains even registered the holy cow moment. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. As always, I love to see where you're all tuning in from. Go ahead and post your location and your local time in the comments. It's always a little magical to see this global family we've got. Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. Part 1. Our story begins where so many good stories do. On a mountaintop, with one man looking very, very confused and probably a little terrified. The man, of course, is Moses. The mountain is Sinai. And it's not just any mountain at this point. It's the most dramatic place on earth. It's wrapped in smoke, it's quaking, there's thunder and lightning, and the sound of a trumpet is getting louder and louder. God is here. Moses has trekked up into this divine storm cloud to meet with the Almighty, to receive the law, the set of rules for how this new-formed nation of Israel is supposed to function without becoming a chaotic mess. He goes up expecting, well, the big stuff, the thou shalt nots, and he gets them etched into stone tablets by the finger of God himself. But then, after the main event, God doesn't just say, "All right, run along now." Instead, he pulls out the celestial equivalent of a set of architectural blueprints. He shifts from lawgiver to interior designer. And this is where we get the instructions for the ark. It's all laid out in the book of Exodus, chapter 25. God isn't vague. He is specific. He is meticulous. It's less of a hey, build me a nice box, and more of a here is the precise, non-negotiable, 10-page, single-spaced IKEA manual for a piece of furniture that contains the infinite. The first thing God says is, "Let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell among them." And that one line just stops you in your tracks. This whole endeavor, this box, the tent, the whole setup, it's not because God needs a house. He's God. The universe is his living room. It's because he wants to dwell among them. He wants to be with these messy, complicated, nomadic people. He's a holy, infinite God, and they are, well, they're us. Flawed, finite, and prone to complaining about the catering. How do you bridge that gap? You create a contact point, a physical location where his glory can be focused, a place where heaven and earth can meet. You build a throne, and that's exactly what the ark is. God's portable throne room on earth. So let's get into the blueprints. What is this thing made of? God starts with the wood. They shall make an ark of acacia wood, he says. In the Hebrew, it's shittim wood, If you're in the middle of the Sinai desert, you don't have a lot of options. You don't have mighty oaks or towering pines. What you have is acacia. It's a gnarled, thorny, tough as nails desert tree. It's not pretty in its natural state. It's twisted and dense, but it's what was available. And I've always loved that God starts with what's at hand. He doesn't ask them for materials they could never find. He looks at the humble, rugged resources of the desert and says, "This, we'll use this." But this acacia wood also has some deeply symbolic properties. It is incredibly durable. It's a hardwood that's highly resistant to rot and insects. This isn't flimsy particle board from a big box store. This is wood that is meant to last. It's a beautiful picture, really. God chooses this tough, incorruptible wood, this humble material, to be the core of his most holy object. It's almost like a little nod to the people he's chosen. A bit rough, a bit gnarled, but capable of being fashioned into something enduring and beautiful. But God doesn't just leave it as a plain wooden box. Oh no, the instructions get very shiny very fast. You shall overlay it with pure gold. Within and without you shall overlay it. This is key. The humble acacia wood is to be completely, entirely covered in pure gold. The part you see on the outside, gold. The part on the inside, the part that's hidden in the dark, holding the stone tablets, also gold. It's not just a quick paint job for show. The purity has to be complete through and through. The part no one else sees also has to be holy. And think about the symbolism here. You have the wood, representing the created, the earthly, the human in its best, most durable form. And you have the gold, representing the divine, the pure, the royal, the untarnishable glory of God. The wood gives the structure, but the gold gives the identity. When you looked at the ark, you wouldn't see the wood. You'd just see the gold. The human element is completely enveloped by the divine. It's a stunning visual metaphor, and it would have been dazzling. In the dark of the tent, lit only by the oil lamps, this thing would have shone. It would have captured every flicker of light and thrown it back. A constant, shimmering reminder of the glory it contained. God is also, as we mentioned, very specific about the size. This isn't a make it as big as you feel situation. The instructions are precise. 2.5 cubits its length, a cubit and a half its breadth, and a cubit and a half its height. Now, a cubit is an old, human scale measurement, roughly the distance from your elbow to the tip of your middle finger. Let's translate that into terms we can actually picture. An average cubit is about 18 inches, or 45 centimeters. So the ark would have been about 45 inches long. That's 3 feet, 9 inches, or about 1.14 meters. And it would be about 27 inches wide and 27 inches tall. That's 2 feet, 3 inches, or about 0.69 meters. What does that tell us? Well, first, it's not a massive cathedral. It's not a giant Egyptian sarcophagus. It's about the size of a large steamer trunk or a modern coffee table. It's portable, and it had to be. These people were on the move. This was, quite literally, God on the go. He wasn't staying back on the mountain. He wasn't waiting for them in a temple they hadn't built yet. He was packing up and moving with them, a golden box leading a column of dust across the desert. The proportions are also harmonious, a 5:3:3 ratio. It would have looked solid, balanced, and deliberate. God cares about the details. Now we get to the accessories. God's design includes some very important add-ons. First, you shall make a molding of gold around it, a little decorative border, a crown. God apparently appreciates good aesthetics. This isn't just a functional box, it's a royal one. This crown sets it apart, marking it as a piece of kingly furniture, which, of course, it is. Next, and this is probably the most important safety feature ever designed, God instructs them on how to move it. You shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them on its 4 feet. And you shall make poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. You shall put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark, to carry the ark by them. This makes sense. It's heavy. It's gold. You need handles. But then comes the critical, non-negotiable, all caps rule. The poles shall remain in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. The handles are permanent. They are never, ever to be removed. Why? Because this is the do not touch sign in physical form. The ark is pure, concentrated, high voltage holiness. It's a spiritual nuclear reactor. You don't just grab it. You don't get familiar with it. You don't touch it ever. The poles are the handles. They are the safety mechanism, the built-in buffer zone between human fallibility and divine perfection. God is essentially giving them his travel mug and saying, "This mug is filled with 100 chapter. The poles are the handle." You don't grab the 10,000-degree mug itself. You use the handle. And to make sure you dummies don't forget and grab the hot part, we are going to superglue the handle in place. Forever. It's actually a mercy. This rule isn't to be arbitrary, it's to protect them. It's a constant visual reminder. I am holy. I am different. Approach me with care. As we'll see later in our journey, the one time someone forgets this rule, in a moment of well-intentioned panic, the consequences are immediate and devastating. This is not a prop. The danger is very, very real. The Levites from the family of Kohath, who were tasked with this job, must have had the most stressful moving day, every day, for 40 years. So we have the box, the crown, and the poles. But we haven't even gotten to the most important part, the lid. The box isn't just an empty container. It's a throne, and every throne needs a seat. God's instructions continue. You shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. Notice the difference. The box was acacia wood overlaid with gold. The lid, the capret in Hebrew, is to be pure, solid, gold. It's not gold-plated. It's a single, massive slab of the most precious material they have. It's to be the same length and width as the box, so it fits as a perfect, heavy, glistening top. The name itself, mercy seat, is beautiful. The Hebrew word is all about atonement or covering. This is the place where sin is covered. Once a year, on the Day of Atonement, the high priest would enter the Holy of Holies, the only human on the only day allowed to do so, and he would sprinkle the blood of a sacrifice on this very lid. This was the spot. This was the interface. This was where God's judgment, which the law inside the box demanded, was met and covered by his mercy, which the lid represented, and God makes its purpose explicit. There I will meet with you, he tells Moses, and from above the mercy seat I will speak with you. This is the direct line, the Holy of Holies hotspot. This isn't just a symbol of God, it's his designated meeting place. But the lid isn't just a flat piece of gold. God's design culminates in the most intricate, beautiful, and probably terrifying part of the whole thing. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, of hammered work you shall make them, on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. These 2 cherubim are to be made from the same piece of gold as the lid, not separate statues that are glued on. The craftsmen, later named as Bezalel and Oholiab, men specifically filled with the Spirit of God for this job, would have to take that solid slab of gold and with incredible, divinely inspired skill, hammer it out, beating the gold until it formed the shape of 2 angelic beings, one on each end, rising up seamlessly from the seat itself. Now, when we hear cherubim, most of us probably picture chubby, little rosy-cheeked bobbies with tiny wings, like something from a Renaissance painting. We need to get that image out of our heads right now. Those are putti, and they are not what's going on here. Cherubim in the Bible are something else entirely. They are powerful, awesome, spiritual beings. They are the ones who guarded the entrance to the Garden of Eden with a flaming sword. They are described in visions by Ezekiel as having 4 faces, multiple wings, and being covered in eyes. They are serious. They are holy. They are not cute. Here, their posture is described in detail. The cherubim shall stretch out their wings upward, overshadowing the mercy seat with their wings, their faces one to another. Toward the mercy seat their faces shall be. This is so profound. Think about the picture it creates. You have these 2 powerful angelic guardians, and their wings stretch up and over, creating a canopy of sorts, a protected space. And where are they looking? Not at each other, not out at the world. Their faces are turned downward, looking at the mercy seat. They are in a posture of permanent humility and awe. Even the highest angels don't look directly at the raw presence of God. They gaze in wonder at the place of mercy, and the space between their wings, the empty air just above the golden lid. That is the focal point. That is where the Shekinah glory, the visible, tangible presence of God, would dwell. When God showed up, he would be enthroned invisibly between the cherubim. So we have the box, we have the lid. Finally, what goes in it? God tells Moses, "And you shall put into the ark the testimony that I shall give you." The testimony, of course, is the 2 stone tablets, the 10 commandments, the covenant. Think about that. The box is God's throne. And what is the foundation of his throne? What does he choose to sit on? His law, his character, his covenant of "I will be your God, and you will be my people." The very definition of his relationship with them is placed inside the very heart of his presence. Later on, We learn this from a little hint in the New Testament, in the book of Hebrews. 2 other items apparently got tossed in there for safekeeping. A golden pot filled with manna, the miraculous bread God provided in the desert, and Aaron's rod, the dead stick that miraculously budded with almond blossoms, proving his God-given authority as high priest. So this holy chest becomes a kind of national hope chest. It contains the law, God's rules, the manna, God's provision, and the rod, God's authority. It's a box of memories, a summary of their entire story with God in the wilderness. So there it is. The blueprint is complete. It is a coffee table-sized wonder, a box of humble but incorruptible desert wood, covered inside and out with pure, shimmering gold. It's a royal throne marked with a crown. It's a dangerous object with permanent handles that scream, "Do not touch." It has a solid gold lid, a place of atonement where judgment is covered by mercy. And it's guarded by 2 awesome golden angels who are perpetually bowed in awe. Inside, it holds the foundation of their whole society. This is not just a prop. It's not a magical good luck charm, though some people will mistakenly try to use it as one, with disastrous results. It is a portable Mount Sinai. It is the physical, localized, terrifying, beautiful, and intense presence of a holy God who has deliberately, miraculously, and somewhat dangerously chosen to pack up and move in with his people. The craftsmen, Bezalel and Oholiab, have finished their work. The ark is built. It's sitting there in the tabernacle, hidden behind the veil in the pitch dark of the Holy of Holies. It's waiting, and it's about to go on a very long and very eventful walk. Part 2. So the ark is built. The tabernacle, its portable tent palace, is all set up according to God's ludicrously specific instructions. All the curtains are hung, all the poles are in place. And then, as the grand finale of all this work, Moses anoints everything, setting it apart as holy. The moment it's all finished, a cloud descends and covers the tent. And the text says the glory of the Lord, the Shekinah, this visible, tangible, heavy presence of God, filled the tabernacle. It was so intense, so thick, that even Moses couldn't go in. It was like the grand opening of a new nuclear reactor, and the core had just gone critical. God had moved in. The divine on switch had been flipped, and this set the pattern for the next 40 years. 40 long, dusty, complaint-filled years of wandering in the wilderness of Sinai. This is where the ark goes from being a stationary object in a tent to being the wilderness wanderer. It becomes the nation's compass, its general, and its most terrifying asset. You see, the Israelites didn't have a map. They didn't have a 5-year plan. They had a cloud. God's presence, which had settled on the tabernacle, wasn't just for show. It was their divine GPS. The rules were simple. When the cloud stayed put, you stayed put. You set up your tents, you baked your manna, you went about your day. It might stay put for a night. It might stay put for a week. The text says it sometimes stayed for 2 days, or a month, or a year. Imagine the uncertainty. Imagine trying to plan anything. Hey, can we, plant a small garden? Nope, cloud might move, don't bother. And then one morning, without any warning, the cloud would lift. It would rise up off the tabernacle and begin to move. And when the cloud moved, you moved. That was the signal. Trumpets would sound, and the most organized, most stressful packing up operation in history would begin. This is where the ark truly came into its own. The cloud was the general direction, but the ark was the vanguard. The book of Numbers tells us that the Ark of the Covenant would set out ahead of them to seek out a resting place for them. It was like a divine scout, a pathfinder. This golden box, carried on the shoulders of 4 stressed-out Levites, was leading hundreds of thousands of people through a hostile desert. But let's talk about that moving process. Because if part 1 taught us anything, it's that this box is not to be trifled with. You don't just grab it and go. Numbers, chapter 4, gives us the holy packing up procedure. It was a precise, life and death choreography. When the signal was given to move, a regular person couldn't just run into the Holy of Holies and grab the ark. You'd be toast. Not even the regular priests could. Only Aaron, the high priest, and his sons could go in first. After the cloud had lifted, they would go past the veil, which itself was taken down, and they would use the veil itself to cover the Ark of the Covenant. They were the only ones allowed to see it, and even they had to immediately shield it from view. Then on top of the heavy veil, they would put a covering of goat skin or badger skin or durable leather. The translation is a bit hazy, but think tough, protective outer layer. And then, on top of that, they would spread a cloth of pure blue. So now the ark is a 3-layer wrapped package. First the veil, holiness, then the leather, protection, then the blue cloth, royalty, a sign to everyone that this was something from heaven. Only then, after it was completely wrapped and obscured, could the movers come in. This job was assigned to one specific family from the tribe of Levi, the sons of Kohath, the Kohathites. This was their permanent, non-transferable, high-stress gig. They would come in, not touch the wrapped ark, but slide the long, gold-covered acacia poles, which, remember, were always in their rings, onto their shoulders. And then they would lift it, and they would walk. Can you imagine being a Kohathite? Your entire job is to carry God. Literally, you're carrying a box that, if you even see it unveiled or touch it directly, you will die instantly. If you trip, you die. If you stumble and try to steady it with your hand, you die. We'll see that play out later, and it's heartbreaking. These guys must have walked with the most intense, prayerful focus of all time. Don't trip, don't trip, don't trip. Holy, 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 don't trip. And they did this for 40 years, while the Kohathites carried the ark and the other most holy items, all carefully wrapped. The other Levite families, the Gershonites and Merarites, had their own jobs. They were the roadies. They were responsible for packing up the tent itself, the curtains, the frames, the poles, the pegs, the ropes. They got wagons. The Kohathites carrying the ark, no wagons. God's throne was not to be jostled around on a cart. It was to be carried respectfully, personally, on their shoulders. So this procession would set out, and whenever it moved, Moses had a very specific send-off and welcome home speech. We get it in Numbers 10. When the ark set out, Moses would cry out, "Rise up, O Lord, and let your enemies be scattered, and let those who hate you flee before you." This is intense. This is not a have a nice walk prayer. This is a war cry. Moses wasn't just seeing a box being moved. He was seeing his God, his king, rising from his throne to go into battle. The ark, in this context, is a weapon. It's a divine presence WMD. Its very movement is an act of spiritual warfare, scattering the enemies of God, whether that's hostile tribes, spiritual darkness, or just the barrenness of the desert. And then, when the cloud finally settled and the ark was brought to its new resting place, Moses would say, "Return, O Lord, to the 10,000 thousands of Israel." It was a plea for God to settle back in, to bring his presence from war general mode back to community dwelling place mode. He was welcoming the king home to his people. For 40 years, this was the rhythm of their lives. Cloud moves, priests pack, Kohathites carry. Moses prays, people follow. Cloud stops, people camp. Moses prays, priests unpack. Day in, day out. And all this time, the ark is teaching them. It's teaching them that God is holy, don't touch. It's teaching them that God is present. He's right there in the middle of the camp. And it's teaching them that God is in charge. He decides when we move, not us. And the danger of this holiness was not just theoretical. This is the same wilderness, the same time period, when a man named Korah decides he wants to be a priest. He and 250 other leaders get together, grab their own little incense-burning censers, and march up to the tabernacle, basically saying, "Hey Moses, why do you and Aaron get to be in charge? We're holy too. We can also get close to God." God's response is terrifying. He tells Moses and Aaron to get back. The ground opens up under Korah and his family, and they are swallowed whole, alive. Then fire comes out from the Lord and completely incinerates the 250 men with the incense censers. This is the God who lives in the ark. This is the holiness they are carrying. It's not a tame, friendly, ask me anything God. It is a holy, consuming fire. The rules, the priests, the veils, the procedures for the ark, they weren't to keep people out arbitrarily. They were to keep people alive. They were the safety protocols for handling the divine. This whole period is also when the story of Balaam and his talking donkey happens. King Balak of Moab sees this massive nation of Israelites camped on his border, and he's terrified. He knows they're powerful. He knows their God is with them. He's heard the stories. So he hires a non-Israelite prophet, Balaam, to come and curse them. "I'll pay you a fortune. Just come and put a hex on these people." Balaam, after a famous and very comical argument with his donkey, finally gets to the viewpoint overlooking the Israelite camp. He sees it all spread out below him, hundreds of thousands of tents, and right in the center, the tabernacle, the pillar of cloud and fire. The dwelling place of the ark Balak is rubbing his hands together. Okay, curse him. And Balaam opens his mouth, and a blessing comes out. "How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwellings, O Israel. He tries again from a different angle. Another blessing. He tries a third time. A third blessing, even more powerful. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not near. A star will come out of Jacob. A scepter will rise out of Israel. Balaam just cannot curse what God has blessed. And the physical, visible symbol of that blessing, the thing that makes them uncursable, is the presence of God dwelling in their midst, symbolized and localized in the ark. The ark is their divine shield. The God of the ark is their protector, and he's not just protecting them from armies. He's protecting them from curses, from spiritual attacks. So the ark wanders. It leads them, it protects them, it teaches them. But the generation that left Egypt, the ones who saw the Red Sea part, they are, to put it kindly, a bunch of complainers. They complain about the food, the water, the leadership. They rebel. They build a golden calf. And God, in his judgment, says that that generation will not enter the promised land. They will walk in circles until they all die off in the desert. It's a harsh, sad end, but it happens. And 40 years later, a new generation is on the scene. These are the kids who grew up with the ark. They don't remember Egypt. Their entire lives have been this rhythm: cloud, ark, manna, repeat. This is all they've ever known. And now they are standing on the banks of the Jordan River. Moses, their great leader, has just died. He's given his final speeches, the whole book of Deuteronomy, and he's passed the torch to his protege, Joshua. In front of them is the promised land, the land of milk and honey. In between them and the land is the Jordan River, and it's not a gentle, babbling brook. The book of Joshua makes a special point to tell us that it was at flood stage all during harvest. This is a raging, muddy, overflowing, 1,000-yard-wide torrent of water. It is a completely impassable military barrier. There's no way across. This is the new generation's first test, and it's a big one. Joshua, the new leader, steps up. And the first thing he does is turn to the ark God gives him the plan. It's another one of those, are you sure, kind of plans. Joshua tells the people, sanctify yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders among you. Then he turns to the priests, the new generation of Kohathites. Take up the ark of the covenant and pass on before the people. The plan is this: the priests carrying the ark are to walk first, not the army, not the scouts. The ark leads the way, and they are to walk straight into the raging, flooded river. I want you to just put yourself in the sandals of one of those priests. Your family has been carrying this box for 40 years, and the number one rule is be careful. Now, your new boss, Joshua, tells you to take the holiest, most valuable, most dangerous object on the planet and carry it into a flood. This is the ultimate trust fall. They are literally being asked to put God first into the chaos. So the whole nation is watching. The priests lift the ark to their shoulders. They walk. They leave the dry bank. They start walking across the muddy, sucking floodplain. They're getting closer to the actual roaring water. You can hear it. You can feel the spray. And then Joshua 3:15, one of the most dramatic verses in the Bible. As soon as the bearers of the ark had come into the Jordan, and the soles of the priests' feet were dipped in the edge of the water, the instant their feet get wet, it happens. The water coming from upstream stops. It doesn't just slow down, it stops. The text says it stood up in a heap miles back at a town called Adam, and the water that was downstream just kept flowing away toward the Dead Sea, and in a matter of minutes, a vast, dry riverbed is exposed. A highway opens up right through the middle of the river. Now, here's the part that gets me. The priests don't just run across to the other side. Joshua commands them, "Go stand in the middle of the Jordan." So, these priests, carrying the ark, walk out to the very center of the empty riverbed, and they stop, and they stand there. They become the linchpin of the whole miracle. They stand there on dry ground in the middle of the river, while the entire nation of Israel, hundreds of thousands of people, their children, their livestock, their wagons, walks past them. The ark of God is literally holding back the flood. Its presence is the thing keeping the walls of water from collapsing. This would have taken hours. Hours of standing in the middle of a riverbed with a wall of water piled up miles away, holding the heaviest, holiest object in the world on your shoulders. The faith and the arm strength required. It's just staggering. While they're standing there, Joshua organizes a memorial. He has 12 men, one from each tribe, go back into the riverbed, right where the priests are standing, and each man is to heave a big stone from the river onto his shoulder. They carry these 12 stones to the far bank, where they will make their first camp, and they build a pile. Joshua says this is so that this may be a sign among you. When your children ask in time to come, "What do those stones mean?" then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. It's all about the ark. The ark did this. The presence of God did this, and you are never to forget it. Finally, everyone is across. The last family, the last sheep, is safely on the other side. Only then does Joshua give the command to the priests. Come up out of the Jordan. They've been standing there for hours. Their arms must be screaming. They walk up the muddy bank. They get to the top. And the text says, as soon as the priest's feet touched the dry ground on the other side, whoosh, the water comes crashing back down. The Jordan returns to its place, flooding its banks as it had done before. The timing is impeccable. The message is undeniable. This was not a natural event. This was not a lucky break. This was God clearing a path for his people. Led by his ark, the new generation has just seen, with their own eyes, a miracle on the same scale as their parents' Red Sea moment. And the ark was at the very center of it. Okay, so they're in the land. They are in, camped at a place they call Gilgal, where they set up those 12 stones. But they're not home yet. Right in front of them is their first obstacle, the city of Jericho. And Jericho is a problem. It's one of the oldest cities in the world. It's famous for its walls. Not just one wall, but two massive concentric walls. It's a fortress. It's high, it's thick, it's considered completely impenetrable. The gates are shut tight. No one went out, and no one came in. The people of Jericho have heard what happened at the Jordan, and they are terrified, but they are locked in tight. So how does this brand new army take this super fortress? They don't have siege engines. They don't have catapults. They don't have experience in siege warfare. What they have is the ark. God gives Joshua the battle plan. And it is, without a doubt, the single strangest, most bizarre military strategy in all of history. Here's the plan from God to Joshua. You shall march around the city, all the men of war, going around the city once. Thus you shall do for 6 days. Okay, a little weird, but maybe it's a show of force. God continues. 7 priests shall bear 7 trumpets of ram's horns before the ark. The ark is involved. Of course it is. On the 7th day, you shall march around the city 7 times, and the priests shall blow the trumpets. Wait 7 times, and when they make a long blast with the ram's horn, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then all the people shall shout with a great shout, and the wall of the city will fall down flat. Right, that's the plan. Walk in circles, blow some horns, shout, and the walls fall down. This is the ultimate trust me, I'm God moment. Joshua, to his credit, doesn't even question it. He just relays the orders, and the people, they do it. So the very next day, the procession forms up. It's a precise order. First, a contingent of armed soldiers, a vanguard. Second, the 7 priests with the 7 ram's horn, trumpets, the shofars. Third, the priests carrying the ark of the covenant. Fourth, a rear guard of more soldiers. The ark is in the middle. It is the army's heavy artillery. God himself is the one leading this parade. And so they walk. Day 1. They get up, form the line, and walk. 1 lap around the city. The only sound is the tramp, tramp, tramp of feet, and the blat, blat, blat of the 7 trumpets. God gave a strict command. You shall not shout or make your voice heard. Neither shall any word go out of your mouth until the day I tell you to shout. Then you shall shout. A silent parade. Imagine you're a guard on the wall of Jericho. You see this army approach. You brace for an attack, and they just walk once around, and then they go back to their camp. You'd be confused. What was that? A warm-up. Did they forget their ladders? Day 2, same thing. Vanguard, trumpets, ark, rearguard. Tramp, tramp, tramp. Blat, 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 1 lap. Back to camp. The people on the wall are getting a little unnerved now. Okay, this is weird. Are they mocking us? Day 3. Same tramp, tramp, tramp. Blat, 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 1 lap. Day 4, same. Day 5, same. Day 6, same. By the end of day 6, the psychological warfare must have been immense. The people in Jericho are trapped, watching this relentless, silent, holy parade with that weird golden box. Circle them once a day, every day. The tension must have been unbearable. This is not how war works. This is something else. Then comes day 7. On the 7th day, they get up early. At the dawn of the day, they form the procession. Vanguard, trumpets, arc, rear guard. And they start walking. 1 lap, blat, blat, blat. They don't stop. 2 laps, blat, blat, blat. 3 laps, 4, 5, 6. This is taking hours. The sun is high. They're getting tired. The priest's lips must be numb. 7 laps. They complete the 7th circuit. The entire procession comes to a halt. Silence. A whole city, a whole army, holding its breath. Then the priests, as one, raise their horns and let out one long, sustained blast. And Joshua gives the command. The one word they've been waiting for 7 days. Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. And the entire army of Israel, hundreds of thousands of men, let out a single, unified, massive war cry. And in that instant, the Bible says, the wall fell down flat. Some translations say, it fell down in its place. It didn't just get a hole. It didn't topple over. It collapsed. It just fell straight down. It turned the impenetrable defense into a smoking ramp of rubble. And the Israelite army, just as God said, charged straight in, every man straight before him. And they took the city, the very first battle in the Promised Land, the very first victory. And it was won without a single sword touching the wall. It was won by obedience. It was won by patience. And it was won by the presence of God, symbolized by the ark, marching in their midst. The ark has now proven itself. It's not just a holy box for a tent. It's a pathfinder that led them through the wilderness. It's a miracle worker that parted a flooded river. And it's a silent general that brought down an impossible fortress. It has led the people of Israel out of the wandering and into the land. The ark, it seems, has finally come home. Or has it? Finding a permanent resting place for God's throne is going to prove to be the next great and far more chaotic adventure. Part 3. So the Ark of the Covenant, this divine pathfinder and wall smasher, has led the Israelites into the Promised Land. The major battles are done. The land has been mostly divided up. And you'd think this would be the happily ever after part of the story. You'd think the ark would get the beautiful, permanent home it deserves, and everyone would live in peace. Yeah, that's not what happens. What happens is the period of the Judges. And if the wilderness wandering was a long, dusty road trip, the time of the Judges is a chaotic, messy, everyone for themselves street brawl. It's a cycle of Israel forgets God. Israel starts worshiping weird local gods. God lets a new enemy, the Midianites, the Moabites, etc., come and beat them up. The Israelites cry, "Oh God, we're sorry." God raises up a judge, like Gideon or Samson, to save them. And then as soon as the judge dies, they go right back to their bad habits. habits. Rinse and repeat. During all this chaos, the ark isn't wandering anymore. The tabernacle, its big portable tent, has been set up in a town called Shiloh. And there it sits, for decades. It's the central shrine, the holy place. But as the generations go by, the awe seems to be fading. The reverence is leaking out. The people are starting to take the ark, and the God of the ark, a little for granted. And this brings us to one of the darkest, and honestly, most bizarre chapters in the ark's entire history. The priesthood at Shiloh is now in the hands of a man named Eli. He's the high priest. He's old, he's tired, he's blind, and he's a, let's just say, permissive parent. His two sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are also priests. And they are, to use the Bible's very blunt term, worthless men. They did not know the Lord. They're supposed to be God's holy representatives. But they're running the tabernacle like a mob-controlled casino. They steal the best cuts of meat from the sacrifices before they're even burned for God. They literally send their servants with big forks to stab at the pot. And worse, they're sleeping with the women who serve at the entrance to the tent. It's corrupt, it's sacrilegious, and it's all happening right there, at the home of the Ark of the Covenant. Meanwhile, a new enemy has risen, the Philistines. The Philistines are not a small, disorganized tribe. They're a major regional power. They're an Iron Age people, and the Israelites are still messing around with bronze. The Philistines have better weapons, better organization, and they live on the coast, and they want to expand. They are the new big bad. This all comes to a head in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 4. The Israelite army decides to go and pick a fight with the Philistines. They set up camp at a place called Ebenezer. The Philistines set up at Aphek. The battle is joined, and the Israelites get demolished, just completely routed. They lose about 4,000 men and go limping back to their camp, stunned and confused. And this is where the bright idea happens. Back at the camp, the elders of Israel are sitting around, scratching their heads. Why? Why did the Lord let us get beaten today? And some guy, we don't know who, says, I know. Let's go get the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord from Shiloh and bring it here to the camp. Let it come among us, and it will save us from the hand of our enemies. Now, just pause on that. Listen to the wording. Let it save us. They're not saying, let's pray to the Lord and ask Him for help. They're not repenting for their sins or the sins of their priests. They're not asking God for a strategy. They're treating the ark like a thing. A magical good luck charm. A secret weapon. A divine battery they can just unplug from Shiloh and plug into their battle line. They've completely forgotten that the ark is God's throne. It's the do not touch box. It's the place of His presence. And He decides what happens. You don't use the ark, you follow it. You obey the God of the ark. This is the worst idea. But everyone agrees. Brilliant, go get the box. So they send messengers to Shiloh. And who do they send to carry the holy ark of the covenant into battle? Oh, you guessed it. The two worthless men, Hophni and Phinehas. This entire enterprise is just cursed from the start. The holy throne of God, which is meant to be the center of worship, is being treated like a mascot by a faithless people, and it's being carried by corrupt, unholy priests. This cannot possibly end well. So Hophni and Phinehas, we don't know if they did the whole wrap it in the veil procedure, or if they just grabbed it. They bring the ark into the Israelite camp, and when the soldiers see it, they go nuts. The ark is here. We've got the God box. The Bible says, all Israel gave a mighty shout, so that the earth resounded. They're cheering. They're screaming. They think they're invincible. The Philistines are toast now. They've got their lucky charm. Now picture the Philistine camp. They're probably celebrating their victory. And suddenly, they hear this roar from the Israelite camp. This earth-shaking, terrifying shout. They're frozen. What was that? Their scouts run back, wide-eyed. Bad news, guys. An ark has come into their camp. They've brought their gods. They use the plural, Elohim, and the Philistines panic. Woe to us, they cry. This is bad. This is really bad. We've never seen anything like this. These are the gods who struck the Egyptians with all kinds of plagues in the wilderness. It's almost funny. The Philistines, the pagans, seem to have a better memory of God's power and a healthier fear of him than the Israelites do. The Israelites see a lucky charm. The Philistines see the God who toppled Egypt. Their terror lasts for about a minute. Then one of their commanders gives a grim speech. Be strong and fight like men, O Philistines, or you will become slaves to the Hebrews, just as they have been to you. Fight like men. They are so terrified of the ark that they decide their only option is to fight with the desperate, cornered animal strength of men who have nothing to lose. So the next day, the battle is joined. Israel, with their magic box at the front, gets annihilated. It's not just a loss. It's a catastrophe, a bloodbath. The Philistines don't just win, they massacre the Israelite army. 30,000 foot soldiers are killed. The army is scattered. Hophni and Phinehas, the two corrupt priests, are both killed. And the Ark of God was captured. Just captured, taken, snatched by the enemy. The symbol of God's presence, the throne of the king, the box that parted the Jordan and flattened Jericho, is now a piece of war booty being carried away by uncircumcised Philistines. The shouting in the Israelite camp is over. There is only stunned, horrified silence. The news has to travel back to Shiloh. A man from the tribe of Benjamin, his clothes torn, dust on his head, runs from the battle. He runs all the way to Shiloh, a full day's journey. Back in the town, old Eli, the high priest, is waiting. He's 98 years old, and he's blind. He's had a chair brought out for him by the side of the road, and he's just sitting there. And the Bible gives us this heartbreaking detail. His heart was trembling for the ark of God. He's not trembling for his sons. He's not trembling for the army. He knows knows. He knows what's at stake. He knows how badly they've all messed up. He's terrified for the ark. The runner bursts into the town, shouting the news. The whole city starts to cry out, wailing and screaming. Eli, blind, just hears the noise. What is this uproar? The runner is brought to him, panting. I am the one who has come from the battle. I fled today from the battle. Eli just asks, how did it go, my son? And the runner lays it out, one sledgehammer blow after another. Israel has fled before the Philistines. Okay, there has also been a great slaughter among the people. Go on. Your 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, are also dead. Eli is still sitting there. He's absorbing it. He's a father, but he's also a priest, and he knew his sons were disasters. And then the final, fatal blow. And the ark of God has been captured. The second those words hit his ears, as soon as he mentioned the ark of God, Eli, this heavy, 98-year-old man, just falls. He falls backward off his high seat by the gate. And the fall, his neck was broken and he died. The news that the ark was gone is what literally kills him. The shock, the horror, the shame. It just stops his heart and breaks his neck. The tragedy isn't over. At that exact moment, Eli's daughter-in-law, the wife of Phinehas, is in the house. She's pregnant, full term, when she hears the screaming, and then hears the report. The ark of God is captured, and your father-in-law is dead, and your husband is dead. The shock sends her into immediate, violent labor. She's dying, but she gives birth to a son. The women around her are trying to cheer her up. Don't be afraid. You've given birth to a son. But she's fatting. She doesn't even respond. And with her last, dying breath, she names the baby. She calls him Ichabod, and she whispers, the glory has departed from Israel, for the ark of God has been captured. This is the lowest point. The glory, the Shekinah presence of God, has departed. The army is gone. The priesthood is shattered. The central shrine is empty, and God's throne is in the hands of the enemy. So what about the Philistines? They are ecstatic. They just won the Super Bowl. They've not only crushed their rivals, they've captured their God. This is the ultimate, my God is better than your God trophy. So they take the ark, and where do they take it? They march it in a victory parade to Ashdod, one of their 5 capital cities. And they take it to their biggest temple, the temple of their chief god, Dagon. Dagon was a major deity, probably a god of grain or fish. The name is related to the Hebrew word for grain and fish, so he was probably a merman god of fertility and the sea. His temple was his house, and the Philistines, in their ultimate act of victorious spite, take the ark of the covenant, the throne of Yahweh, and they put it in the temple of Dagon, and they set it right next to the big statue of Dagon. The message is clear. Look, Dagon, we brought you a present. We brought you a little footstool. This Yahweh God now serves you. They're celebrating. They have a big party. They lock up the temple for the night and go home drunk and happy. We're the best. Dagon is the greatest. The next morning, the priests of Ashdod come in to open up the temple, probably to clean up the party mess. They walk in and they stop. The massive statue of Dagon is face down on the floor. It has fallen, flat on its face, in front of the Ark of the Covenant. It's in a perfect, we're not worthy posture of bowing. This is awkward. You can just imagine the priests. Did you bump it? No, did you? Must have been an earthquake. A small Dagon statue specific earthquake. Yeah. Right, okay, well, let's just put him back up before anyone sees. So they grunt and they heave, and they get their big, heavy god statue back up on his pedestal. They prop him up, dust him off, and pretend nothing happened. They lock up the temple and go home, probably trying very, very hard not to talk about it. The next morning, the priests come back. They are not prepared. They walk in. It's worse. It is so much worse. Dagon is on the floor again, face down, bowing before the ark. But this time, God has finished the job. The statue's head and both of its hands have been snapped clean off. They're lying like little discarded doll parts on the temple's threshold. All that's left on the pedestal is the stump of Dagon, the fishy part, the torso. God didn't just tip Dagon over this time. He humiliated him. He disarmed him, literally. He decapitated him. The message is unmistakable. There is no coexist sticker here. Your God is a broken, headless, handless stump of wood. I am God. The Ark of the Covenant doesn't need an army. It is perfectly capable of fighting its own battles. Thank you very much. The Bible adds a little side note that from that day on, the priests of Dagon and anyone who entered the temple would never step on the threshold where Dagon's bits had been. They would jump over it. They had turned their humiliation into a superstitious ritual. Okay, so the men of Ashdod are now officially terrified. Their god is in pieces. And then the plague starts. The text says, "The hand of the Lord was heavy against the people of Ashdod. He ravaged them and afflicted them with tumors." The King James Version calls them emerods. Let's not be delicate. This is either bubonic plague, agonizingly swollen lymph nodes, buboes, or the most severe, supernatural case of hemorrhoids in human history. It was painful, it was humiliating, and it was everywhere. And just to add to the fun, some ancient manuscripts, like the Greek Septuagint, fill in this detail. God also sent a plague of mice, or rats. The rodents swarmed the city. So picture Ashdod. Their god is a pile of rubble. They are all suffering from agonizing, unspeakable swellings, and the entire city is being overrun by rats. This is not a good week. The lords of Ashdod call an emergency meeting. Okay, this was a bad idea. That ark, the God of Israel, His hand is heavy on us and on Dagon our God. We have to get this thing out of here. They're in a panic. But where do you send a divine WMD? I know, send it to Gath. Gath is another one of the 5 big Philistine cities. So they load the ark onto a cart. You can imagine the guys who had to move it, probably wearing the ancient equivalent of hazmat suits. And they ship it off to Gath. The ark arrives in Gath. Hey guys, the men of Ashdod sent you a present. And what happens in Gath? Surprise! The hand of the Lord was against the city. A very great panic. He afflicted the men of the city, both small and great, and tumors broke out on them. The plague just moves with the ark. It's a holiness hotspot that is toxic to them. And it's an equal opportunity plague. It gets the small and great, the rich and the poor, the guy in the palace and the guy in the gutter. Everyone in Gath is now in agonizing pain. The men of Gath are not happy. Get it out, get it out. We don't want it. So where does it go next? They decide to send it to Ekron, another one of the 5 cities. And this is my favorite part. As the ark is even approaching the city limits of Ekron, the people of Ekron see the procession coming. They see the cart. They know exactly what's on it. And they just lose their minds. They don't wait for it to get inside. They run out into the streets, shrieking, "No, no, no. They have brought the ark of the God of Israel to us to kill us and our people. Don't let it in. Take it back." The Ekronites are the first ones to be smart about this. They've heard the reports from Ashdod, Dagon tipping, tumors, rats. They've heard the reports from Gath, tumors, panic. And they are not signing up for this. Their cry, the Bible says, went up to heaven, but it's too late. The ark is there, and the plague hits Ekron. There was a deadly panic throughout the whole city. The men who did not die were struck with tumors. So to recap, in the space of a few months, the ark of God, captured and powerless, has single-handedly, 1. Disassembled the chief god of the Philistine Empire, 2. Brought 3 of the 5 capital cities to their knees with plague, panic, and rodents, 3. Done all of this without a single Israelite soldier lifting a finger. The Philistines are broken. The ark has won. This holy chest is not a trophy. It is a hot potato. It is a ticking time bomb of holiness. And the Philistines just want it gone. It has now been 7 months. 7 long, agonizing, rat-filled, tumor-swollen months. The lords of the Philistines call another summit. This time, they bring in everyone. Their priests, their diviners, their smart guys. The question is not if we send it back. The question is, how do we get this thing out of our country without dying? The priests and diviners have a plan. It's a fascinating, pagan, let's try anything plan. Okay, first, you cannot just send it back empty. You've offended this god badly. You have to send a guilt offering to show you're sorry. The lords are like, a guilt offering? Like what? does he want? Well, the priests say, what's the problem? You've got 5 main cities, right? And you're suffering from 2 main plagues, right? But yeah, so it's obvious. You need to make 5 golden tumors and 5 golden mice. This is just, you can't make this up. They are literally commissioning their finest goldsmiths to make little, beautiful, 18-karat gold models of their plagues. A little golden rat. A little golden, well, swelling. It's a desperate, superstitious, but also kind of logical attempt to say, we get it. We see what you did. Here's a model of the thing you did. Please stop doing it. Give glory to the God of Israel, the priests say. Maybe he'll lighten up on you. But the Philistine lords are still a bit skeptical. How do we know this was really his hand? What if it was all just a coincidence? A really, really, really bad 7 months? What if it was just chance? The priests have a test for that too. A brilliant, undeniable, scientific test. Here's what you do. First, get a new cart. Brand new. Never been used. Holy things like new stuff. Second, get 2 milk cows. They have to be cows that have just given birth, so they have new calves at home. Third, hitch these 2 nursing mother cows to the new cart. And fourth, this is the crucial part. Take their calves away from them and lock the bobbies up back in the barn. Now, everyone in the ancient world knew what this meant. A mother cow, a nursing mother, has one instinct, and one instinct only: be with her baby. If you let that cow go, she will turn 180 degrees and run, mooing her head off, straight back to her bawling calf. She will not, under any circumstances, calmly walk away from her baby. It goes against every law of nature. The priests lay out the test. Put the Ark of God on the new cart. Put the box with the golden tumors and mice next to it. Take the cart to the crossroads. Point it down the road that leads back to Israel, toward the town of Beit Shemesh, and then let go. If, against all nature, these 2 cows, ignoring their crying bobbies, turn and walk straight up the road to Beit Shemesh and stay on that road, then we will know. We will know for certain that it was his hand that did this to us. But if they just mill around or turn back to their calves, which they absolutely should do, then it was all just an unfortunate chance. And we've done all this for nothing. This is the ultimate test. Nature versus God. The Philistine lords do it. Exactly. They get the new cart. They get the 2 mother cows. They lock up the calves. The bobbies are crying. The mothers are distressed. They hitch the cows to the cart. They place the ark on it. They place the box of golden plagues on it. They bring it to the crossroads. And they let go. The whole Philistine leadership is just watching, holding their breath. And the cows, they took the straight way on the road to Beit Shemesh. They turn away from their bobbies and start walking. Step by step, they pull the cart straight up the highway. And the Bible adds this perfect, haunting detail. They went along the highway, lowing as they went, and did not turn aside to the right or to the left. You can hear this scene. The cows are not happy. They are mooing in protest. They are crying for their bobbies. Moo. Their every instinct is screaming, "Go back." Wrong way. And yet, some invisible, divine power is compelling them forward, forcing them step by step against their own nature to walk this holy, terrible box back home. Moo. Step. Moo. Step. And the Philistine lords, they're not just taking their word for it. They follow them, walking at a distance for miles, all the way to the border of Beit Shemesh, just watching this miracle, their jaws on the floor, absolutely convinced. The cart, pulled by these two heartbroken, heroic cows, finally crosses the border into Israel. It comes to a stop in the field of a man named Joshua, a different Joshua, right next to a great stone. The Israelites of Beit Shemesh are out in the field, harvesting their wheat. They look up. They see a cart. They see the ark, the one they lost, the one that meant Ichabod, the glory. It's back. The whole field just erupts in joy. People are shouting, weeping, celebrating. The Levites who live in the town come running. They see the ark. They see the great stone. They know what to do. They take the new cart, and in a burst of grateful worship, they chop it up for firewood, and they take the two cows, the ones who lowed as they went, and they sacrifice them as a burnt offering to the Lord, right there on the great stone. A fitting, if slightly grim, end to their miraculous journey. The Philistine lords, watching from the hill, see this. They see the Israelites they see the sacrifice. Their test is complete. They just turn around and walk home. Wordlessly, it seems like a perfect, happy ending, right? The ark is back. The Philistines are defeated. The cows are, well, barbecued. But there's one last, terrible lesson. The people of Beit Shemesh are celebrating. They're so happy. They're so relieved. And they get familiar. They're farmers, not high-level priests. They're excited. They're curious. They've heard stories, but now it's here. And some of them looked into the ark of the Lord. Maybe they crowded around it, touching it. Maybe, in their giddy celebration, one of them said, "Hey, let's peek under the lid." They forgot. They forgot the poles. They forgot the do not touch rule. They forgot the holiness. They forgot that this is the same God who just devastated 3 cities. He's not a tame lion. And the God who is holy in Philistia is also holy in Israel. His nature doesn't change just because he's crossed the border. The text says, "The Lord struck down 70 men of Beit Shemesh because they had looked into the ark of the Lord." The number is a bit debated in the manuscripts, but the point is the same. A lot of people died. Instantly, the party stops. The joyful shouting turns to wailing, to terror. The people of Beit Shemesh are horrified. They are suddenly, terribly sobered, and they say the exact same thing the Ekronites said. Who is able to stand before the Lord, this holy God? whom shall he go up away from us? They've got the same problem as the Philistines. The ark is back, and it's terrifying. It's too holy. It's too much. We can't handle this. Get it out of here. The ark has returned, but it hasn't brought peace. It's brought panic, first to its enemies, and now to its friends who disrespected it. It's a hot potato nobody wants to hold. The men of Beit Shemesh, in a panic, send a message to the people of a nearby, quiet, hilltop town called Jerim. The Philistines, they sent back the ark. It's here, in our field, with the, Can you come and get it? Please, come on down and take it away. This time the glory hasn't just departed. It's been returned, and nobody is brave enough or holy enough to go near it. Part 4. The Ark of the Covenant, God's divine do not touch sign, is now an object of pure terror. The Philistines were ravaged by it. The men of Beit Shemesh were struck down by it. And now, this town of farmers, weeping over their dead, just wants it gone. They send a desperate message to the next town over, a little hilltop place called Jerim, which literally means city of forests. The message is basically, hey, so, the Philistines sent the ark back. It's here, in a field. Please, for the love of God, come and get it. Take it away from us. The men of Jerim, they come, and they're brave, or maybe just dutiful. They came and took up the ark of the Lord and brought it to the house of Abinadab on the hill. This Abinadab isn't a famous priest, he's just a guy who lives on a hill. And they consecrated his son, Eleazar, to have charge of the ark of the Lord. They give this brand new, holy hand grenade watching job to this guy's son. And then nothing. The ark, the thundering, wall toppling, river parting, plague sending, God smashing presence of God, just sits. It sits in Abinadab's house, on a hill, in a quiet backwater town. The tabernacle, its old tent home, is still floating around its over in a town called Nob, and later in Jibon. The priests are still doing their thing, sacrificing on the bronze altar. But the heart of the whole system, the Holy of Holies, is empty. The ark is over here in a farmhouse, and it's not for a week. It's not for a month. The Bible gives us an astounding number. From the day that the ark remained at Jerim, the time was long, for it was 20 years. 20 years. A whole generation grows up. Samuel, the last of the judges, anoints Israel's first king, a tall, handsome, but deeply flawed man named Saul. Saul rises. Saul fights. Saul disobeys. Saul unravels. And during this entire dramatic, chaotic reign, King Saul never once asks for the ark. He never goes to see it. He never tries to bring it to his capital. He completely, totally ignores it. It's like the nation has put God's throne in a dusty, spiritual attic and just forgotten about it. The fear has turned into avoidance, and the avoidance has turned into neglect. This is the state of affairs when a new player walks onto the stage. A shepherd boy from Bethlehem, a giant slayer, a poet, a musician, a warrior, a man who runs for his life from Saul, a man who makes mistakes, big, messy, terrible mistakes. But he is a man who, above all, is described with one incredible phrase: a man after God's own heart. His name, of course, is David. David, after years of running, after Saul's tragic death, is finally made king. First over his own tribe of Judah, and then over the entire united nation of Israel. And one of the first things he does as king is a brilliant military and political move. He attacks a city that no one has been able to conquer, a fortress on a hill surrounded by valleys that belonged to a tough tribe called the Jebusites. The city was called Jebus. David takes it. He conquers this unconquerable fortress, and he renames it. He calls it the City of David. We call it Jerusalem. He's got his capital. It's new. It's neutral. It's centrally located. It's militarily perfect. It's his. But David knows it's not just a political capital. If this is going to be the heart of Israel, it needs a spiritual heart. He knows that his throne, his new palace of cedar, is meaningless if God's throne is still sitting in a dusty farmhouse on a hill. David is not like Saul. David misses God's presence. He wants it. He craves it. He writes about it in his Psalms. One thing I ask of the Lord, this is what I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. So David makes a decision. We're bringing the ark home. This is where the story gets so human, so messy, and so real. David is excited. He is genuinely, passionately thrilled to be the one to bring God's presence into his new city. He wants to throw the biggest, best welcome home party in Israel's history. So he gathers all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000 of them. He's getting the army. This is a state occasion. And he and all these people go up to Kiriath-Jearim, which is also called Bala, to bring up from there the ark of God, which is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, who is enthroned on the cherubim. He knows what it is. He's got the right passion. What he doesn't have is the right procedure. He's been king. He's been a warrior. He's been thinking about logistics. How do you move a big, heavy, golden box? Well, what was the last report? How did the Philistines move it? Oh, right. They put it on a new cart. And that makes sense, right? It's new. It's respectful. It's way more efficient than having 4 guys schlep it on their shoulders. It's a royal way to move it. A kingly procession. So David commissions a brand new cart, and they set the ark of God on a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was on the hill. And who is driving this new cart? Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab. For 20 years, their family has been the guardians of the ark. It's been in their house. Uzzah and Ahio probably grew up with it. They might have been the ones who dusted it. It was their family heirloom. The awe, the terror of this thing has probably faded. It's just the box. The procession begins, and it is a party. This isn't the silent, fearful parade at Jericho. This is a full-blown rock and roll national celebration. David and all the house of Israel were celebrating before the Lord with all their might. What kind of celebrating? With songs and lyres and harps and tambourines and castanets and cymbals. This is loud. This is joyful. David is in the middle of it, just ecstatic. The whole nation is here. The king is here. The ark is here. They're all singing. They're all dancing. This is the greatest day of David's life. This is the moment his kingdom is truly beginning. The procession is moving. The new cart is rolling along the dusty, uneven Israeli road. It's going great, until it isn't. They come to a place called the thrashing floor of Nacon. A thrashing floor is a flat, hard-packed area of rock or earth where farmers would beat their grain. It's an uneven spot, and the oxen, the ones pulling the brand new cart, they stumble. The cart lurches, and the ark of God, the holy throne, the do not touch box, it tilts. It's about to slide. It's about to fall off the cart, into the mud. Uzzah, the guy who grew up with it, he reacts. He doesn't think. He doesn't pray. He doesn't remember the rule book. He just reacts. His heart is probably in the right place. Oh no, the ark. I have to save it. And he does the one, the only, the fatal thing you are never supposed to do. He reaches out his hand, and Uzzah put out his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen stumbled. He touches it, his bare, human, unconsecrated hand makes contact with the pure, unshielded, high-voltage holiness of God. The music stops, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God struck him down there for his error. Some translations say for his irreverence, and he died there beside the ark of God. Dead instantly. 1 second, he's a man trying to help. The next, he is a corpse on the ground at the feet of the ark. The band stops playing. The cymbals crash into silence. The harps go quiet. The singing dies. 30,000 people just stare. They've just gone from the highest point of national celebration to the most horrific, shocking public death. The party is over. It's Beit Shemesh all over again. And David is not filled with holy awe. He's not like, oh wow, we must be reverent. No, the Bible says David was angry. He is furious. David was angry because the Lord had burst forth against Uzzah. He's confused. He's hurt. He's probably embarrassed. This was his party, his idea, and God just showed up and killed someone. He's angry at God. What was that? I was trying to honor you. I was trying to do a good thing. He was just trying to help, and you killed him for it. His anger, in a split second, turns to the same terror that struck the people of Beit Shemesh. His anger is a mask for his new, profound fear. The text says, "And David was afraid of the Lord that day." He looks at this box, which is now sitting next to a dead body, and he says the most telling human thing. the Lord come to me. He doesn't mean, how can I get it to Jerusalem? He means, how can I survive this? How can this impossible, dangerous, lethal God ever come and live with me? I can't do this. I'm done. The procession is canceled. Roll credits. Send everyone home. The party's off. And David was not willing to take the ark of the Lord into the city of David with him. He doesn't want it. Not anymore. It's too hot. It's too dangerous. He's got the same problem as the Philistines and the farmers at Beit Shemesh. He's got a divine hot potato, and he just wants to get rid of it. So just like they did, he pawns it off on the nearest available house. David took it aside to the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite. Obed-Edom is not even an Israelite, probably. He's a Gittite, which means he's probably from Gath, the Philistine city. He's a foreigner, a mercenary, a guy living on the outskirts. David is so scared, he dumps the ark at a foreigner's house. Here, you watch this for a bit. I've gotta go. And he goes back to Jerusalem, to his palace. Angry, confused, frightened, and empty-handed. The ark has been rejected again. So the Ark of the Covenant, fresh from killing a man, is now sitting in the living room of a Philistine named Obed-Edom. You can just imagine the neighbors. Well, it was nice knowing Obed-Edom and his family. Wonder how long they'll last. Obed-Edom, he's in a tough spot. He has to take it. The king just told him to, and he's probably heard the story of why it's there. He's probably heard about Uzzah, but unlike everyone else, Obed-Edom doesn't seem to just fear it. He respects it. He welcomes it. And the ark sits in his house. 1 month goes by. Nobody dies. 2 months go by. 3 months go by. And the ark of the Lord remained in the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite, for 3 months. And what happens? Does a plague break out? Does his house get infested with mice? Does his statue of Dagon, if he had one, get its head snapped off? No. And the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. He didn't just not curse him. He blessed him. He didn't just bless him a little. The parallel account in 1 Chronicles 13 says, "The Lord blessed the household of Obed-Edom and all that he had." This guy's life just explodes with blessing. The Bible doesn't give details, but you can imagine. His crops come in double. His livestock has triplets. His children are healthy. His business, whatever it is, booms. His bank account, well, they didn't have those, but his wealth just multiplies. He is so visibly, so outrageously blessed by God that it becomes the talk of the town. Have you seen what's happening at Obed-Edom's place? Ever since he got that crazy God box, his life has been amazing. The news travels, and eventually it was told to King David. The report comes to the palace. "Hey, King, you know that terrifying ark you dumped at that foreigner's house? The one that killed Uzzah? Well, you're not going to believe this, but it's made Obed-Edom the richest, luckiest, most blessed man in the entire country. And David hears this, and a little light bulb goes on. He's not angry anymore. He's not just scared. He's intrigued. He's jealous, but in a good way. A holy envy. He's realizing, oh, it's not that the ark is just a curse. It's not just a killing machine. It's like fire. I treated it like a toy. I threw it on a cart. I was careless. And Uzzah got burned. But Obed-Edom, he must have treated it with respect. With awe, he welcomed it. And for him, that same fire, it's not burning his house down. It's warming his house. It's lighting up his life. The problem wasn't the ark. The problem wasn't God. The problem was me. My method was wrong. David has learned his lesson. A hard one, a fatal one for Uzzah. But he's learned it. The ark is not just a source of terror. It is a source of blessing when it's handled God's way. He wants that blessing. He wants it for him. He wants it for his city. He's not scared of the ark anymore. He's ready for it. He's going to try again. But this time, he's going to read the manual. So David decides, take two. He's not just going to wing it this time. The book of 1 Chronicles fills in the details that 2 Samuel skips. David does his homework. He digs out the scrolls of Moses. He finds the IKEA manual in Exodus and Numbers. And he has a second aha moment. Otho. It's not a cart, it's its poles. It's not just anyone who carries it. It's the Levites, the Kohathites. We haven't been doing any of this right. No wonder God was angry. 1 Chronicles 15. David said, no one but the Levites may carry the ark of God, for the Lord chose them to carry the ark. Because you did not carry it the first time, the Lord our God broke out against us, because we did not seek him according to the rule. He's got it. The passion was there, but the procedure was missing. Now he has both. So David organizes the second attempt. And this one is completely different. First, he calls the priests, Zadok and Abiathar, and the chiefs of the Levites, and he gives them an order. You are the heads. Sanctify yourselves, you and your brothers, so that you may bring up the ark of the Lord, the God of Israel, to the place I have prepared for it. He's not just bringing it to Jerusalem. He's already made a new home for it. He has pitched a brand new tent, a tabernacle of David in the heart of the city, just for the ark. So the priests and the Levites sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of the Lord. This means they washed, they prayed, they went through all the ceremonial purification rituals. They are getting right with God before they even go near the ark. No one is casual this time. Then they go to Obed-Edom's house. Obed-Edom, by the way, is so blessed by this. He and his sons join the Levites and become the official gatekeepers for the ark. He goes from accidental host to lifelong employee. And how do they move it? And the Levites carried the ark of God on their shoulders with the poles, as Moses had commanded, according to the word of the Lord. No cart, no oxen, just consecrated men following God's rules. They lift it, and nobody dies. This is working. The procession begins. And if the first party was a loud, spontaneous human celebration, this one is a divine one. David is there. The whole nation is there. This time there is sacrifice. So much sacrifice. The text says, when the bearers of the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed an ox and a fatling. Think about that. They take 6 steps. Stop. Sacrifice an animal. Take 6 more steps. Stop. Sacrifice another animal. This is not a parade. This is a pilgrimage. This is the slowest, most expensive, most blood-soaked, most reverent walk in history. David is not taking any chances. He is paying for every step with a symbol of atonement. He is saying, we're sorry, we're sorry, we're sorry, with every 6 paces. He is covering this whole procession in reverence and worship. The parallel account in 1 Chronicles says they made a big sacrifice when God helped the Levites carrying the ark. There was probably a moment right at the beginning where they lifted it, took those first 6 steps, and nothing bad happened. And the whole crowd just let out a breath they'd been holding for 3 months. God is helping us. He's with us. He's not angry. And then the party really started. And this time, the joy is not just human excitement. It is joy born of relief. It's the joy of reconciliation. And David leads it. David was dancing before the Lord with all his might. He's not just tapping his foot. He's not doing a kingly little 2-step. The Hebrew word is karar, which means to whirl, to spin, to leap. He is losing himself in the joy of it. And he's not dressed like a king. He's not in his royal, purple, heavy robes. The text says he was wearing a linen ephod. A linen ephod is a simple, humble, priestly garment. It's what the priests wore. It's what young Samuel wore. David has stripped off his royalty to put on humility. He's not coming as King David, who conquered Jerusalem. He's coming as David, the servant, the worshiper. And David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the horn. This is it. The music is back. The shouting is back. But this time, it's not at the ark, it's for the Lord. They are bringing it up the hill, into the fortress, into the city of David. Step, 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 step. Sacrifice. Step, 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 step. Sacrifice. And all the way, David is whirling and leaping and shouting and singing at the front of the line. He is a king, acting like a commoner, all because his God is finally coming home. It's a beautiful picture, unless you're watching from a window. David's wife, Michal, is in the palace. She is Saul's daughter. She's old school royalty. She has dignity. She has a reputation to uphold. And she looks out her window, and she sees her husband, the king, in a glorified apron, sweating, dancing like a crazy person, exposing himself, the exposing, probably just means his legs were showing as he whirled, which was unkingly, in front of the servant girls. And she is not impressed. The Bible says she despised him in her heart. She is repulsed. She is mortified. This is not how a king acts. This is low class. This is embarrassing. She sees the performance, but she misses the worship. The parade doesn't stop for her. They get the ark to the tent David has pitched. They bring it in. They set it in its place. And nobody dies. It's in its home. David, still in his ephod, blesses the people. He hands out food to everyone. A loaf of bread, a portion of meat, a cake of raisins. It's a national feast. He's on a spiritual high. This is the greatest day. He's blessed his people, and now he goes home to bless his household. He's still got that dad who just put together the big Christmas toy energy. He's floating, and he walks in the door, and Mickle is standing there, arms crossed. The air conditioning just sucks all the warmth out of the room. She doesn't wait, she just drips sarcasm. Oh, how the king of Israel honored himself today, stripping himself in front of the eyes of his servants' maids, like one of the vulgar fellows shamelessly uncovers himself. She just stabs him with it. You looked like trash. And David, his response, is one of the most powerful statements in the whole Bible. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't get defensive. He just gets clear. His joy turns into a cold, hard fire. It was before the Lord, not in front of the maids, before the Lord, who chose me instead of your father and all his house, to appoint me as ruler over the Lord's people, over Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord. I was dancing for him, the one who fired your family and hired me. And you think that was undignified. I will become even more undignified than this. I will be humiliated in my own eyes, but by those very servant maids you mentioned. By them, I will be held in honor. He draws a line in the sand. My worship is not for you. It's for him. And if you think this is bad, you haven't seen anything yet. I will get lower for him. I will be smaller for him, because he is that big. It is a total, complete shutdown. And the chapter ends with this cold, sad, final sentence. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child to the day of her death. Her criticism, her cynicism, her cold dignity, it left her barren, while David's undignified, passionate, vulgar worship brought the presence of God into the heart of the nation. So the ark is in Jerusalem. It's in a tent, but it's the right tent in the right city, brought by the right king in the right way. It is the center of national life. Years pass. David's kingdom is established. He's at peace. And one day, he's sitting in his beautiful palace, a palace built of cedar from the king of Tyre. It's fancy. It's permanent. It smells good. And he looks out the window, and he sees the tent, and he has this thought. He turns to his friend, the prophet Nathan. Hey, Nathan, does this seem weird to you? Here I am, living in a house of cedar, and the ark of God is just sitting in a tent. David is uncomfortable. It's not right. I've got a palace, and God's got a campsite. I want to build him a house. He wants to build the ultimate, permanent, glorious home for the ark. He wants to build the temple. And Nathan, the prophet, is just swept up in the idea. Wow, what a great idea. Pious, generous, go for it. Do all that is in your heart, for the Lord is with you. That night, God calls Nathan. A Nathan, yes, Lord. Did you not check with me? You just go for it. Go back to David and tell him, are you the one to build me a house to dwell in? I've been in a tent ever since I left Egypt. I've been wandering. Did I ever complain? Did I ever ask any of the leaders, hey, why haven't you built me a house of cedar? God is basically saying, you don't build me a house. That's not how this works. And then God just flips the whole script on David. You want to build me a house. David, I am going to build you a house. Not a house of cedar, a dynasty. Your house and your kingdom shall be made sure forever before me. Your throne shall be established forever. This is the Davidic covenant. This is God promising that David's line will lead to the Messiah. It is the biggest promise in the Old Testament, and it's not what David asked for. It is infinitely more. And then God gives him the one gentle no about that temple. You can't build it. You're a man of war. You have shed much blood. Your hands, they're too bloody to build my house of peace. But your son, a man of rest, Shlomo Solomon, he will build it. He'll build the house for my name. David's reaction is just pure humility. He's not mad. He's not petulant. He's overwhelmed. Who am I, O Lord God, that you have brought me this far? He's not allowed to build it, but he is allowed to prepare for it. So David spends the entire rest of his life as a fundraiser. He just becomes a one-man hoarder for God. He uses his power, his wealth, his influence to gather the most insane collection of building materials in human history. The book of 1 Chronicles is just lists 100,000 talents of gold. A talent is about 75 pounds. That's 7.5 million pounds of gold, or $1.5 billion in today's gold prices. No, that's 7.5 million pounds is 120 million ounces. At $2,000 Oz, that's $240 billion. The numbers are symbolic. They are meant to be uncountable. He gathers gold, silver, bronze, iron, wood, precious stones. He's not just gathering stuff. He's gathering blueprints. He gets the divine plan for the temple, just like Moses got the plan for the tabernacle, and he hands it all over to his son. He's the ultimate preparer. He's done all the work, so his son can just do the building. David dies, an old man full of days. His son, Solomon, becomes king, and Solomon, after solidifying his kingdom, begins the great work. For 7 years, the sound of hammers and saws fills Jerusalem. He builds the most magnificent structure in the ancient world. It's on Mount Moriah, the same mountain where Abraham was told to sacrifice Isaac. It's made of a stone quarried and cut off-site, so that no hammer or axe or any tool of iron was heard in the house while it was being built. It just rises in silence, and he lines everything on the inside with gold. He overlaid the whole house with gold. He carved the walls with cherubim and palm trees and open flowers, within and without. It is a permanent, glorious, golden tabernacle. It has the same layout. The outer court, the holy place with the lampstands and the bread, and in the back, a new permanent Holy of Holies, the Debir. It's a perfect cube, 30 feet by 30 feet by 30 feet, and inside this pitch-black, gold-lined room, Solomon has built 2 new cherubim. These are not the small, hammered gold cherubim on the ark's lid. These are colossal. They are carved from olive wood. They are 15 feet tall, and he overlays them with gold, and he sets them in the room, and their wings were stretched out, so that a wing of one touched one wall, and a wing of the other touched the other wall. Their other wings touched each other in the middle of the house. They are a forest of golden wings, a massive, new, permanent canopy. And then the day comes. The dedication. The temple is finished. It's perfect. And Solomon calls all of Israel. This is the day, the final move. The priests, the Levites, go to the tent of David. They lift the Ark of the Covenant with its poles onto their shoulders for the last time. They carry it in a massive procession with all the other holy items from the old tabernacle, which they've also brought. Solomon is there. He is sacrificing sheep and oxen that could not be numbered or counted for multitude. The priests carry the ark into the temple, into the holy place, through the veil, and into the Holy of Holies. They walk into that dark, golden room. They walk under the wings of the new, 15-foot-tall golden angels, and they set the ark in its place, in the inner sanctuary of the house, in the most holy place, underneath the wings of the cherubim. The old, desert-wandering, portable throne is now permanently enthroned under the wings of the new, temple-guarding angels. Its home, the writer of 1 Kings, adds a little poignant note. There was nothing in the ark except the 2 tablets of stone that Moses put there at Horeb. The pot of manna, the budding rod, they're gone, lost to time. All that remains is the covenant, the word. The priests, having set the ark down, they back out. They come out of the Holy of Holies, the entire orchestra of Levites, all 120 of them, the cymbals, the harps, the lyres, the trumpets. They erupt in music. They are all singing as one, for he is good, for his steadfast love endures forever. And at that exact moment, as the song hits its crescendo as the ark is finally in its resting place. It happens. The Shekinah returns. The house of the Lord, was filled with a cloud. It's not smoke from the incense. It's the cloud. The same cloud that was on Sinai. The same cloud that filled the tabernacle. And the priests could not stand to minister because of the cloud. For the glory of the Lord filled the house of God. It's so heavy, so thick, so powerful, so holy, that the priests have to run. God has moved in. He has accepted the house. He has filled it. Solomon, seeing this, just throws his hands in the air and gives this incredible speech. The Lord has said that he would dwell in thick darkness. I have indeed built you a magnificent house, a place for you to dwell forever. From a blueprint on a mountain, to 40 years in the sand, to a wall smasher, to a POW, to a hot potato, to an attic, to a tragedy, to a blessing, to a dance. The ark has finished its journey. It is here. It is home. It is safe. It's forever. Right. Part 5. And so, there it is. The Ark of the Covenant, the desert wanderer, the wall smasher, the prisoner of war, the hot potato, the terror, the blessing, the throne, is finally home. The priests have backed out. The cloud has moved in. The glory of the Lord, that heavy, tangible, terrifying, beautiful Shekinah presence, has filled Solomon's temple. It is so thick, so pure, that the priests, the ones who live to serve there, can't even stand. They're on their faces, or they've run out into the courtyard, weeping and shielding their eyes. Solomon, standing on a bronze platform, his arms spread to the heavens, just basks in it. He's done it. He's fulfilled his father's dream. And he says this beautiful, poetic thing. He says, the Lord has said that he would dwell in thick darkness. But I have indeed built you a magnificent house, a place for you to dwell. Forever. Forever, that's the word. Forever. This is it, the end of the story. The ark has found its final resting place. The journey is over. God's presence is now locked in, safe and sound, in the heart of the world, in the golden, glorious city on the holy mountain. This is the happily ever after, the climax of the whole story. And you know, as soon as someone in the Bible says forever, you just know it's about to get complicated. Forever is such a human word, isn't it? We use it to mean, I feel really strongly about this right now. God uses it to mean, well, forever. And our forevers and God's forevers often have a little trouble lining up. The ark is in the temple, and it's going to stay there for 400 years. 400 years. Think about that. That's almost twice as long as the United States has been a country. For 4 centuries, the ark just sits. It sits in that perfect, pitch-black, golden cube under the wings of those 2 colossal, 15-foot-tall golden angels. And its story goes from action-adventure to museum piece. It becomes a silent, unmoving, unseen fact. And the problem with facts is that people can get used to them. The glory is there. But the awe begins to fade. It starts, as things often do, with the guy who had the great idea in the first place. Solomon, the man who was so wise, was also perhaps so easy. He was a yes man, especially to the wrong people. The Bible tells us he loved many foreign women, not just one or two. He had 700 wives, princesses, mostly, and 300 concubines. That's not a marriage, that's a collection. And these women who he married for political alliances, they didn't come alone. They brought their hobbies, they brought their little statues, they brought their gods. And Solomon, the man who built the house for the one God, starts compromising. He builds high places, little shrines for their gods, for Ashtoreth, for Molech, the really nasty one who liked child sacrifice. He builds them on the hill, opposite Jerusalem. From the temple, you could probably look across the valley and see the smoke rising from a pagan altar. He never stops worshiping the Lord. He just adds other options. He's diluted the brand. And the God who is enthroned on the cherubim, the God whose name is jealous, he notices. And God tells Solomon, since this is what you've done, I'm going to tear the kingdom away from you. He doesn't do it in Solomon's lifetime for David's sake, but he says, your son, he's going to lose it. And he does. Solomon dies. His son, Rehoboam, takes the throne. And Rehoboam is a proud, arrogant fool. The northern tribes come to him and say, hey, your dad, he was expensive. The temple, the palaces, he taxed us into the ground. Could you lighten up just a little? And Rehoboam's old, wise counselors say, yes, do it, be kind to them, and they'll love you forever. And Rehoboam's young, hot-headed buddies say, no, you look weak. You tell them, my little finger is thicker than my father's waist. My father beat you with whips. I'm gonna beat you with scorpions. And Rehoboam goes with the scorpion speech. It does not go well. The 10 northern tribes just secede. They say, what share do we have in David? We have no son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. And the kingdom splits, rips right in two. It's now the northern kingdom, Israel, and the southern kingdom, Judah. And the ark, the temple, they are in Jerusalem, which is the capital of the southern kingdom, Judah. So, from this moment on, the Ark of the Covenant is no longer the center of a united Israel. It's just the holy box for Judah. The northern tribes, they set up their own temples with their own golden calves. Yes, they never, ever learned that lesson. So for the next few hundred years, the story of the Ark is the story of Judah. And the story of Judah, oh, it's a roller coaster. It's this non-stop good king, bad king show. A good king like Hezekiah will come to the throne. He'll walk in, see the temple all messy, full of pagan junk his dad left, and he'll be horrified. Clean this place up. We're having a reopening. Let's read the law. Let's have a Passover. And there's a big revival. Everyone's crying. Everyone's repenting. And then he dies. And his son, a bad king, takes over. And this is where the story gets just dark. The bad king says, all that one God stuff is so boring. Let's be inclusive. Let's bring back those Asher poles. You know, the sacred wooden things, they're very artistic. Where should we put them? Oh, I know, let's put one in the temple, in the courtyard. And the priests, they just let it happen. And the ark just sits in its dark room, while out in the yard, the very thing God hates is being worshipped.